We're sitting in what I can only call HQ Central for the book depository of Palos Verdes, and that, of course, is the Palos Verdes Library main office on Spur. And I'm sitting talking to two ladies, Marjeane Blinn on my left here and Betty Lukas on my right. And we're going to be talking about something that I find extremely interesting. But first of all, I want to show our viewers a photograph. And I wonder how many people know where this is. One can only hope that, in those days people had lots of money, and I wish back then one had bought lots and lots of property. Marjeane, tell us where that is.
This is Malaga Cove Plaza, approximately 1925, 6, around in that area. It shows the Gardner Building, which was the first commercial building built on the peninsula. And behind it there is an apartment house that was built by the first police chief, and a couple of houses, but not very much. But at the very top, in the background, you can see La Venta Inn, which could be seen from almost everywhere in those days.
And we're sitting, if I didn't tell you before, we're sitting in the local history room of the PV Library that is filled with wonderful, wonderful memorabilia of the peninsula. So can, residents, well, anybody, can they come here and look at some of these photographs?
We are open Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4, and Friday from 1 to 4, and Saturday morning from 10 to 1. The room is managed by docents, and things are locked if there's nobody here, but we'll help if we can. If there's nobody here and you need to come, people can make an appointment and I will come and show them. Okay. But we have pictures and books and a few maps and the yearbooks from all the high schools. Clippings file. We are involved in a 40 Families project, which is a study of the Japanese families that were farming here between 1906 and when they were interned.
The other neat thing, I have here a wonderful photograph of a sign, Malaga Cove Plaza, and can't imagine that sign is still in operation. In any event, the reason we're here today talking to these two ladies, this lady here on my right, Betty Lukas, has written a book called Peninsula Past. Just tell me briefly, what was the concept of the book, and how did you get around to thinking about actually doing it?
Well, I've always been a professional writer, and when I came to become a docent, the first thing I thought about is what can I do with my writing, and how can we publicize the local history room?
And you are a resident of PV.
I have been a resident of Palos Verdes Estates for 45 years, so I know the community. And I felt that if we could let other people who live in the community know about this rich and wonderful background, there'd be more pride of ownership, and there'd be more interest in coming to the local history room. That was our intention, to promote the local history room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marjeane, in making this book a reality, it is filled with, and you've shown us some of the pictures, it is filled with a wonderful collection of historic photographs. How difficult or not was it to find all the photographs?
The photographs belonged originally to the Palos Verdes Homes Association, and they used them to illustrate a publication called the Palos Verdes Bulletin, which was published between 1924 and 1931. The pictures were given to the library district, and there are about 2,000 pictures, historic photographs. And I have looked at them many, many times because we've organized them and put them in boxes and the proper preservation materials. And
you felt putting them in boxes was not the real thing to do. The thing to do was to get out and put them so the public could see them in this book.
Well, they were an adjunct treasure to be able to go with the book. Having done a lot of organization and helping to digitize them, they're now on Flickr, so people can see them online. I had seen them many times, and so when Betty was writing the columns, I could picture what picture ought to go with that, and I wasn't the only judge on that. We would get a couple out, or 3 or 4 out, and then we would make that decision together.
Okay. In deciding to do this book, was it a long time sort of gestating in your mind, or did it suddenly hit you and you said, I've got to do this?
Oh, these kind of things hit me. I like to write, and when I started doing research as a docent, I saw so many interesting.
That was a docent here for the library.
I'm a docent. I am, was, and forever will be a docent for the library. And I decided that we had to mine this rich collection of information and photos. So, and what do? I write, and so I suggested that we try to get monthly columns into the PV News as our source of publicity. Well, Mary Scott, the editor, was thrilled with the idea because it was a way to fill the paper without having to pay for anything.
Did you know Marjeane before this began?
Not until I began as a docent.
And then they said, you have to meet Marjeane because she is a whiz at getting all those historical photographs, right?
Well, Marjeane was my boss. She taught me everything I know about this room. She is the supervisor of all docents in the local history room. We are a special class of people.
I must say, I've lived on the peninsula many, many years, and I know your writings from many publications here. So when I was told that we were going to talk to Betty Lukas, I said, yes, that's the lady that does all those articles about the peninsula. So it must give you a great sense of pride and achievement that we finally got a publication that has all the history of the peninsula.
Oh, it does. But there were other publications that preceded this. I mean, Augusta Fink's book, her seminal book, Time in the Terraced Land. And mine is a more informal but accurate collection.
Okay. Marjeane, I guess one of the most important things to let our viewers know is this is the publication, and if I was watching and I'd say to myself, that's fascinating, but how can I get a hold of the copy of the book?
They are available at all the libraries, at the circulation desks, also at the gift shop here at Peninsula Center. And I think they're going to be available around the community, too. That it just was launched December 8th, so we're still giving ideas to the friends about where, and hoping that it'll be available at the new bookstore, perhaps in town, and maybe at the Interpretive Center.
For people that don't know, you said the new bookstore. The new bookstore is what?
I think it's called Book Frog, and it's opening up into the peninsula. What do they call it now? Promenade.
The interesting thing is, we recently did a show on the Book Frog, so I know that very well. And what a wonderful place to get a book about the peninsula and all those things. I've known you for many years now, did you find it, and I'm sure you did you find it interesting to go through all the pictures and have, shall I use this picture or that one? It must have been a real, I don't want to say a battle.
We've tried to decide what to call our discussions as we were going through getting this book together.
Are they printable names?
Yeah. We didn't want to call them arguments. They were sometimes heated discussions. Okay. We would each come from a different discipline. So I had a journalist and I had a librarian here. And so we each kind of learned to respect each other's background and talent. And I think we learned to trust each other. So if we disagreed, we would put it out there and we'd think about it, and maybe a week would happen between, and then we'd come back and now, this is what I'm thinking of. And so we had to work through some things because we're two different people.
I'm a real history buff, and I've been to museums around the world, and I've always thought and still think and will always think, what a wonderful thing it is in human nature when certain human beings decide to save pictures, to save artifacts. And when you look at some of these pictures, here we are, in the 21st century, that they have survived basically in really good condition, the photographs.
They have. They have survived, and the book that they were in, the Palos Verdes Bulletin, which was a monthly, 8-page monthly, and glossy. It's like brand new, even now. And so we're very grateful for all those people that took all those pictures. And Julius Schulman did not take the early ones, but he took some of the later parts of this library.
Betty, the last question. In putting this together and knowing your history as a writer, I'm a writer myself, but for travel, what did you find was the most challenging part of the whole project?
It was making the choices of what would be most interesting and also what would be most fun to write.
And Marjeane, what was the most challenging part of this whole project for you?
For me, it was a wonderful experience, and we worked about 9 months, 11 months, something from February until now, every week for a couple of hours, and we thought we're never going to get this finished. But as soon as it was finished and it was published and we started signing it, we were ready to go again. So we're trying to think of something else.
To me, you sound like, and I'm putting words in your mouth, but to me, you sound like the historian, the expert on Palos Verdes. So I think that's a really great way to end this feature on this wonderful book here, Peninsula Past. So until next time, this is John Clayton saying thank you for watching, and I urge you to come to the Palos Verdes Library and look at this amazing room here. If you're as much as a history buff as I am, you will love it. You'll find the pictures fascinating. And as I say, until next time, this is John Clayton saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the Palos Verdes Library.